Can I start? Okay. So, good morning, everyone. We'll begin with the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. So someone mentioned that they've been really enjoying the Ajahn Mun biography. So I thought I'll continue to read some passages from Ajahn Mun's life that I found really inspiring. So, 你可能要 Bluetooth 没有在弄试试看，或者到另外发现。We're listening to a translation here, so this story is Ajahn Mun in a place called Sarika Cave. And if people know, Ajahn Mun is one of the very well-respected Thai forest masters. I don't know if you can see this picture of him. And since we're here in the Redwood Forest, I thought it was very appropriate to read stories from his life, because some of it might really resonate with us here in nature. It says, Acharya Mun spent 3 years living and practicing in Sarika Cave. His entire stay there was filled with the most unusual experiences, making it a memorable episode in his life. To the best of my recollection, he first arrived at Bangule village, the village nearest the cave, and thus close enough to be convenient for alms round. Unfamiliar with the air, he asked the villagers to take him to Sarika Cave. Straight away they warned him that it was a very special cave possessing numerous spiritual powers, insisting that no monk could possibly live there unless his virtue was pure. Other monks who have tried to live there quickly fell ill with a variety of painful symptoms. Many had even died before they could be brought down for treatment. They told him the cave was the domain of a spirit of immense size, possessing many magical powers. It also had a very foul temper. The giant spirit guarded the cave from all intruders, monks being no exception. Unexpected occurrences awaited all intruders into the cave. Many ended up dead. The spirit delighted in testing any monk who came bragging about his master of magic spells for warding off spirits. Invariably, the monk would suddenly fall ill and die a premature death. Fearing that Acharya Mun might die likewise, the villagers pleaded with him not to go. So Acharya Mun was not to be deterred, so he wants to go check this out. And they tell a number of other stories where monks who actually went thinking that they were, very accomplished in spiritual practice and magical spells, actually ended up dead. So finally, Acharya Mun got to go to the cave, and here's what it says. It says, Acharya Mun asked what they meant by, Acharya Mun meant by saying that some monks went up there never to return. Why hadn't they come down again? He was told that having died there, they couldn't possibly come back down. They told a story of 4 monks who seemed quite competent, who had died just not long before. Prior to entering the cave, one of them had assured the villagers that he was impervious to fear, for he knew a potent spell that protected him against ghosts and other spirits, plus many other potent spells as well. He was convinced that no spirit could threaten him. Warning him repeatedly about the dangers, the villagers tried to discourage his intentions. But he reiterated that he had no fear and insisted on being taken to the cave. The villagers were left with no other choice, so they showed him the way. Once there, he came down with a variety of afflictions, including high fevers, pounding headaches, and terrible stomach pains. Sleeping fitfully, he dreamed that he was being taken away to his death. Over the years, many different monks had tried to live there, but their experiences were strikingly similar. Some died, others quickly fled. These 4 most recent monks died within a relatively short period. The villagers couldn't guarantee that their death were caused by the spirit, but perhaps there was another reason. But they had always noticed a powerful presence connected with the cave. Local people weren't so bold as to challenge its power, for they were wary of it and envisioned themselves being carried back down in critical condition or as corpses. So it goes on, and Acharya Mun wants to go. Okay, so he goes. Now he's in the cave. He says, for several days, Acharya Mun's physical condition remained normal, his heart calm and serene. The environment around the cave was secluded and very quiet. Maybe like River Vihara, very, very quiet here. Disturbed only by the natural sounds of wild animals foraging for food in the forest. He passed the first few nights contentedly, but on subsequent nights he began to suffer stomach pains. Although such pains were nothing new, this time the condition grew steadily worse, eventually becoming so severe that he sometimes passed blood in his stool. Before long, his stomach refused to digest food properly. It simply passed straight through. This made him reflect on what the villagers had said about the 4 monks dying there recently. If his condition didn't improve, perhaps he would be the 5th. When lay people came to see him at the cave one morning, he sent them to look for medicinal plants. They gathered various roots and wood essences, which he boiled into a potion and drank. He tried several different combinations of herbs, but none relieved his symptoms. They worsened with each passing day. His body was extremely weak, and though his mental resolve was not greatly affected, was clearly weaker than normal. So here you see Acharya Mun is being tested, or his body is getting weak, but his mind is still firm. As he sat drinking the medicine one day, a thought arose which prompted a self-critical examination. I have been taking this medicine now for many days. If it was really effective, then I will have some positive results by now. But every day my condition worsens. Why isn't this medicine having its desired effect? Perhaps it's not helping at all. Instead, it may be aggravating the symptoms and causing the steady deterioration. If so, why continue taking it? He then makes a decision around the Dharma. He says, I am a Buddhist monk. I have certainly practiced meditation long enough to recognize the correct path leading, here's Magga, Phala, and Nibbana. That's the path, fruit, and nirvana. By now, my practice should be firmly anchored in this conviction. So why am I so weak and cowardly when faced with a small degree of pain? It's only a slight pain, yet I can't seem to come to grips with it. Becoming weak all of a sudden, I now feel defeated. Later, when life reaches a critical juncture, at the moment of death, as the body begins to break up and disintegrate, the onslaught of pain will then crush down mercilessly on body and mind. Where shall I find the strength to fight it, so I can transcend this world and avoid being outdone in death's struggle. Right? He's reflecting that although he's in pain now, but it's nothing compared to when time comes when we actually die. And so if I can't apply the Dharma now, although the body is in pain, how can I apply the Dharma when it's time to go? With this solemn determination, he stopped taking all medicines and began earnestly focusing on meditation as a sole remedy for all spiritual and bodily ailments. Discarding concern for his life, he let his body follow its own natural course, turning his attention to the probing chitta, the essential knowing nature which never dies. It's interesting that they define the chitta as this essential knowing nature which never dies. It has death as its constant companion. So he's looking deeper into his mind, into his nature. He set to work examining this chitta, using the full powers of mindfulness, wisdom, faith, and perseverance that he had been developing with himself for so long. The seriousness of his physical condition ceased to interest him. Concerns about death no longer arose. He directed mindfulness and wisdom to investigate the painful feelings he experienced, making them separate the body into the constituent elements, and then thoroughly analyzing each one. So the 32 parts meditation that we actually did this morning during the chanting was reflecting on the different parts of the body. So this is what he's doing, taking the body apart piece by piece. He examined the physical components of the body and the feelings of pain within it. He analyzed the function of memory, which presumes that one or another part of the body is in pain. And he analyzed the thought processes which conceive the body as being in pain. All such vital aspects were targeted in the investigation conducted by the mindfulness and wisdom as they continued to probe into the body, the pain, and the chitta relentlessly exploring their conditions from dusk until midnight. Through this process, he succeeded in fully disengaging the body from the severe pain caused by his stomach disorder, until he understood with absolute clarity just how they are interrelated. At that moment of realization, his chitta converged into complete calm, a moment that saw his spiritual resolve immeasurably strengthened and his bodily illness totally vanish. The illness, the pain, the mind's preoccupations, all disappeared simultaneously. Just as a note, right before that, he was actually going through the different skandhas, going through the physical skandha, the body, then the feeling skandha, the pain, then the various maybe ways that we create the pain with our mind through our perceptions, the deeper samskaric patterns, the kind of habitual patterns that we associate with pain, probing deeper and deeper into the mind, breaking through all those kind of, you say, fabrications that we make. Finally, he enters samadhi. And I'll just stop here given the time. He says, remaining only briefly in complete stillness, his chitta withdrew slightly, reaching the level of pachara samadhi. This luminous chitta then left the confines of his body and immediately encountered an enormous black man standing fully 30 feet tall. This towering figure carried a huge metal club, 12 feet long and as thick as a man's leg. Walking up to Acharya Mun, he announced in a menacing voice that he was about to pound him right into the ground. He warned Acharya Mun to flee that very instant if he wished to remain alive. The metal club resting on his shoulder was so huge that a single blow from it would have been enough to pound a large bull elephant into the earth. So we'll stop there. So tomorrow, for those who want to have the round 2, part 2, see how Acharya Mun deals with this spirit. But you can imagine, right? He's out there cultivating, gets seriously ill, uses the meditation practice he's learned, that we've also learned here in the monastery, about 32 parts of the body, and actually observing the different skandhas, different khandhas, the way we're made up as living beings, with his wisdom and mindfulness. He has this profound insight and samadhi, that he actually leaves his body and sees this, you can say, fearsome spirit. So we'll find out what happens tomorrow. But related to us in the forest here, I think sometimes there's definitely a sense that there might be other beings around. And so I don't think we probably have the same courage as Acharya Mun, or the virtue. So my sense is generally we try to be very respectful. I'm here to do my best to cultivate, yeah. I'm just trying my best. So maybe for all of us in this world, we can just try our best and be as respectful as possible to all the beings around us. And through that, I think, at least, we don't cause harm to the beings around us. And at some point, we might have the virtue and courage that Acharya Mun has. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay? We'll now do 3 steps, 1 bow.